Hey guys, welcome back to Rocket Science. Today we're going to talk about the scientifically proven best camera settings. Well, here they are. I'm kidding, of course. There's no such thing as the best camera settings. But what we can do is explain all the different options and what you can change to find your own personal best camera settings. Let's talk about camera FOV first. FOV is an acronym for field of view. The field of view tells you how much you can see on the screen. Look at this top-down view of the car. If you have your FOV at 90, you can see everything in a 90-degree cone in front of you. If you're at 110 FOV, you can see everything in a 110-degree cone in front of you. Psionics allows you to set the FOV anywhere between 60 and 110, but please don't even think about setting it below 90. So what should you set your FOV at? 110 is technically the best, because it gives you the most information of where everyone is on the field. However, there are two reasons why you might not want to set it to the maximum. The first reason is precision. Because your car looks smaller at a higher FOV, you might not feel like you're able to hit your shots with the same precision. A possible solution to this problem would be to move your monitor closer to you. If you do this, your car will look just as big, but you will still be able to gain the extra information in your peripheral vision. I do realize though that this is not necessarily an option for everyone. The second reason is distortion. When the game tries to render a 110-degree view and put it on a flat screen, there ends up being quite a bit of distortion close to the edges of the monitor. There's nothing you can do about it. If you can't get used to the distortion, keep the FOV at lower levels. The other camera setting players usually try to change to view more of the field is camera distance. However, it isn't able to change much in that regard. Look at how the ball stays on the screen the whole time, even when comparing extreme distances like 400 to 100. What it does do a good job at is giving a better view of the space around your car. Keep in mind that once again, a closer camera might make it easier to hit a precise shot with the corner of your car. When dribbling with the ball though, it may block your entire view if the camera is too close. I would suggest keeping the settings somewhere between 220 and 350. Then there's camera height and angle. Most players barely change these at all. They use either 100 or 110 height and a 3 to 5 degree angle. If you increase the camera height a lot, you can certainly gain some overview of the field, but you'll always have to keep in mind that your car is not at the center of the screen. It's kinda like playing a shooter with a crosshair at the bottom of your screen. Low camera height certainly makes bounce dribbles or timing a power shot a lot easier. If you choose to set your camera very high, you'll need to increase the camera angle to make sure your car stays on the screen. The slider goes to 45 degrees for some reason. You should keep it below 15 degrees however, because otherwise there are some situations where the ball isn't even on the screen anymore, even with ball cam on. Now before we get to camera stiffness, I want to talk about something that's related to it but doesn't get changed by any of the sliders. Dynamic camera FOV. The camera FOV is actually dynamic. If you're standing still, you will be at the FOV that you set in the camera settings. Once you start to accelerate however, your FOV will smoothly increase by 5 degrees depending on how close you are to maximum speed. When you reach supersonic, it will get bumped by an extra 5 degrees. I feel like we should be able to set this somewhere in the settings, since the rather extreme change when you reach supersonic can definitely throw you off at times. So let's go on with camera stiffness. What does it actually do? Camera stiffness does three things. Only two of those have an effect if you have ball cam on. Those are dynamic camera distance and angle. The distance smoothly increases based on how close you are to the maximum speed, while the angle decreases. The maximum values at 0 stiffness are plus 100 distance and plus 2 angle. Keep in mind that the angle is a negative value. For example, it would go from minus 5 degrees to minus 3 degrees. You can calculate the dynamic camera distance at supersonic with this formula. If you drive towards where the camera currently is, the distance gets decreased. When you turn ball cam off, these things still apply. But we get another major difference that fits the actual term stiffness the best. At 1 stiffness, the camera stays in the same position related to the car all the time. If you lower the value, it will smooth out motions and add a delay. This happens on the ground as well as in the air. It would be easy to conclude that one stiffness is the best, and I do recommend using it if you're trying to learn how to dribble, as it makes it easier to tell the exact direction the car is facing. But here are some points to consider. If you land on the ground with the camera facing a different direction than that of the car, the camera will turn around really fast at high stiffness. This can be quite disorienting at times. The second point is drifting. When you drift, the delay on the camera makes it seem like you're turning around the front of your car, while at one stiffness it's anchored to the back. I personally think it's a lot easier to judge when to stop drifting at low stiffness if I'm close to the ball, but you should test this for yourself. For the last slider we got camera swivel speed. This setting allows you to set the turning speed of your camera. At 1.0 it takes you 1.3 seconds to turn 90 degrees. The slider is linear, so at 10 it's going to be 10 times as fast. Last but not least, camera shake. Camera shake literally shakes your camera whenever you boost, you dodge, or you hit an object. This really provides no advantage at all, as it just distorts the information on the screen. The only reason to have it on is that you really like it. Oh, and of course if you want to piss off Jamespot. Alright, that wraps up this episode. If you have any questions or found any mistakes, post them in the comments and leave me suggestions for what I should test in the future. I will try to incorporate them in videos where they fit the topic.